Hello, welcome to another episode of Forgotten Cemeteries of Pacific Northwest, or Central Oregon in this case. Today we're at Michigan Cemetery, located in Grass Valley, Oregon, Sherman County. Alternative names of the cemetery, none that I know of, so let's go meet some of the local residents and hear their story. Alright, apologies right off the bat. It is windy and very cold out here in the middle of nowhere. It's deep in Sherman County by the description, and they were not lying. A little history about this cemetery, in case you're oblivious. The cemetery is named for settlers who hailed from the state of Michigan. Oregon Burial Site Guide lists a start date of 1887 with 0 to 25 burials. In 1965, 12 graves and 1 unknown were reported. 17 memorials are listed on Find a Grave though. However, the Find a Grave entry person for the cemetery is listing John Francis Dodge as being buried here. The famous guy who ran Dodge in the 1900s, so probably a misentry, I'm guessing. His tomb is probably bigger than this whole cemetery, to be honest, and he's buried in Michigan. If accurate, Find a Grave also lists the last burial here in 1996. Though I read a note that a local owner told a visitor that there was like plans to revitalize the cemetery and use it again, so that's kind of cool. Benjamin and Josephine Downing donated land for the cemetery in 1888 from what I read on the county website. Those two individuals didn't stick around by the looks and are buried in Grants Pass, Oregon. So allegedly no action for 29 years now based on the location, and don't see them lining up to get in. Today, this little cemetery sitting among the scenic Oregon country is vague on the information. We meet a pioneer store owner, learn about gold mines in Oregon, and finally visit the grave of an individual who remembers the famous Prussian army passing through his father's farm while living in Germany as a child. And up ahead is Alfred Clemens, born in 1806 or 1817 based on the source you look at. He was born in England. Headstone says 1806, so we'll roll with that. Not much details, but he was a farmer and operated a jewelry store in Grass Valley back then. Guessing he was one of the earliest burials here since he died in 1889. And probably the youngest death in this cemetery belongs to Ona Heath, born right here in Sherman County in 1888 and died at the age of 1 month old. I read that Ona's father, Chancey Heath, moved into this area and got involved in real estate and mining operations in 1905. There was something known as the Gold Belt of Eastern Oregon back then. I read back in the late 1800s that eastern Blue Mountains produced 75% of the gold in Oregon. Unsure if Ona's dad was focused on gold though, but there were several mineral deposits among Oregon back then. And up ahead, hidden in the brush, is the headstone of Julius L. Ruberg, born in Germany in 1860. Came to California with his wife, but unsure if they divorced because his write-up does say his widow, but another one write-up mentions she returned to Germany after a few years of being in the USA, so maybe she didn't like it here. Anywho, his profile mentions he remembers the famous Otto von Bismarck soldiers marching past his father's farm in Germany long ago. Bismarck was a German diplomat during the 1800s, known as the Iron Chancellor. Bismarck would go on to seek the unification of Germany under one empire, Prussia being the center of it all. His goal was to be the most powerful empire in all of Europe, but he would get pushback from the House of Representatives. Some of you history buffs may have heard the famous Blood and Iron speech in 1862. That speech was given by Bismarck. Julius here would be 2 years old at the time. Bismarck concludes his speech with some famous statements, to quote, "The position of Prussia and Germany will not be determined by liberalism, but by its power." He closes with, "Not through speeches and majority decisions will the great questions of the day be decided." That was the great mistake of 1848 and 1849, but by iron and blood, end quote. Thus begins the war to unify Germany. So continuing on with Julius' story, Bismarck would be successful in capturing Providence in Denmark and turn his attention to Austria and their allies. Austria and their allies would go up against the German kingdom in the 7 Weeks' War. Austria would get absolutely steamrolled in that war, primarily because the German army was well organized, had the ability to mobilize very quickly, and was equipped with this needle gun here. The first breech-loading rifle to use a bolt action to open and close the chamber, superior to the Austrians' muzzle-loading rifles. By 1867, Bismarck had put together 39 German states in the northern kingdom of Germany. However, Napoleon III in France wasn't too happy because he gave Bismarck the okay to engage in war with Austria. From what I read, Napoleon was expecting something in return, maybe a gift or something. However, Bismarck said, that's nice, no. There was also an argument between a French ambassador and Wilhelm I of Prussia while vacationing in EMS. The argument ended and the two departed coolly. However, Bismarck had other plans by what I read. He gets a hold of the memo, which includes the details of the disagreement, and makes his own edits, and then releases it to the press to purposely anger the French. So Napoleon III of France, outraged, declares war on Germany, playing right into the hands of Bismarck. Because during this time, the southern Germany states were not buying into the Prussia kingdom, they resisted joining. However, due to the threat invasion from France in the southern German states, they gladly joined the German Empire for protection. Thus, the Franco-Prussia War began in 1870. Same result though, the Germans were superior in numbers, tactics, trainings, and leadership, and once again ran over their enemy, invading France. They then laid siege to Paris and captured Napoleon III. In 1871, Wilhelm I was declared German Emperor. Experts often debate whether Bismarck was a genius at politics or just luck of the draw in his decisions. However, I did like this famous quote when writing to his wife: "I am making rapid progress in the art of using many words to say nothing at all." Alrighty, time for the tour. You probably will most likely come from Grass Valley that way if you visit here. Gate's a little bound up with weeds, so just kind of off the little opening there. Let's see, this is maybe one of the more out of the way cemeteries we've visited. But one of the prettier views we've seen. Definitely in the middle of nowhere. Couldn't find much on them. Oops, dropping my cell phone. Julius's headstone, erected by friends, is what it says on there. Must have been popular back then. This will be Alfred. We talked about his story as well. Sorry about the wind. It is ripping through the cemetery. And pretty cold too. Looks like this used to have a pretty cool wooden fence back then, but gave in to Mother Nature. William Blaylock. So way over there, but check it out. French. Rosa, wife of Leroy French. 29 years old. Jeez. As you can see, very spread out for the most part. very young and had no story behind it. I couldn't find anything, but here's those two died at the same time, and could not find a story. We talked about Ona. Its headstone is immaculate. It's super clean. So I wonder if somebody's coming out cleaning the headstones because they are very bright and white. Stone there hidden. Be careful, there's barbed wire fence around that. I think that is it. Short one, but a fun one out in the middle of nowhere. That's some interesting history. If you have any other recommendations for cemeteries to visit in Oregon, Southern Washington, feel free to comment below. Hope you're doing good. Hope you're staying safe and have a good one. Thank you for watching.